Yes, she did.
Yeah, she's tough though. I didn't give her any credit.
Yeah.
Nah, hang on a second. We're just gonna walk past the we're not gonna pay homage to Moti Horenstein. What's going on here?
Holy shit!
I should have saved that. We are recording, right? Are we through past the open? This is part of the open.
This is going to be the open. Yes, Moti Horenstein is a Jew.
Yes.
However, fuck that.
Who is he?
Fuck that. I am not letting our claim to fame being Mark Coleman beating the shit out of Moti Horenstein.
So you're not going to claim him. You know what? This is funny. This reminds me of something that I said on one of the vivisections ages ago. Like, there's probably some Israeli dude somewhere. Like, he's in a suburb in Haifa somewhere, and he's, like, shaking his fist when he thinks about mixed martial arts. Says, UFC, bullshit. Israeli karate, #1 karate. Moti Horenstein, best ever Moti Horenstein. And he's got, like, a plaque, you know, with Moti's face or whatever, his footprint or whatever the hell. I don't know. I think he moved to Florida.
And then his wife walks into the room and is like, Moti, it's you. You are Moti. It's just Mark Coleman beat the shit out of you. I'm sorry. He's like,
all those dudes moved to... All those cats moved to Florida. All those guys with, like, the questionable karate credentials that kind of made some noise, they all live in Florida for some reason now.
Yep. I see their fucking, like, dojos and shit.
I'm happy that I never get to feel that.
Well,
I just like go watch boxing and be like, I'm happy again.
Why don't you go train boxing? Well, you're smart. You don't want to put in brain cells. You're a physicist. So.
Yeah. Did you see like the newest research out there? Like even just training like a couple minutes like gives you like some reduced like mental, like what's the term they use? Like you don't perform as well as when you began fighting or sparring or whatever.
Well, I'm fucked.
Yeah, like
because I've been sparring like every single week for the past like 4 months.
No, I mean if you're gonna be fine. I mean, but it's in terms of like when you began that I mean you improve after a while. But they actually said that it's like a measurable drop in performance when you began the match and when you ended. If you took like I don't know how many blows to the head, but it's not it. They were wearing headgear.
Well,
so it's like
that's
scary.
Grim ass fucked up note. Welcome to the Mixed Martial Angst podcast. I'm your host.
We like violence.
It's Ben Cohn, bitch. Welcome again. We have a special guest today. It's not Alejandro because fuck that guy.
No.
It's Bloody Elbow's own Victor Rodriguez. Who wants to let you know that eating ass is kosher.
Yeah, that's what I heard, and my limited forays into rabbinical studies have led to the conclusion that is in fact true. But thank you. I just felt warm, and it was like a warm hug for you to give me that introduction. That's I'm quite grateful, and I'm glad we're finally able to make this happen. I know we talked about it a while back. I saw you guys were doing this whole thing. I'm like, man, I gotta support these cats any way I can. So thank you for having me on, man. It's a real pleasure.
Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate the support. You've been pretty awesome and sharing and shit. So thank you.
Hey.
We do also have Alejandro, who wants you to know that you should suck toes. Say hi, Alejandro.
Nah, he's lying. I never said that.
You didn't say it, but you did fucking write it.
No, I didn't. You can prove it.
He scribbled it on a wall somewhere in a bathroom.
He accidentally.
He
also wants you to know that you should fuck Ben.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm married, but much appreciated, Alejandro.
Hey, she ain't got to know.
Yeah, you're welcome.
She does not have to know because she does not listen to my podcast. So.
Well, she's not here. She went up with her friends.
She's still here. She's actually about 12 feet away from me in the next room.
Awesome.
So, she can't hear you. Thank fucking God.
Okay.
Well, we got a lot of shit to talk about, and we're going to start with jumping right into it. Oh, well, no, actually, we're going to first say, buy my beef jerky, you assholes.
Yeah, because that is sure to appraise you with your customers.
Listen, my meat is delicious, and put it in your mouth.
Wow. Yes, Ben, I would love to taste your salted dry meat. Yes, thank you.
It's yours whenever you'd like it.
It is a gift.
I am not humoring that.
Please.
It just reminds me of Mike Perry's tattoo on his lower abdomen, right above his crotch, that says God's gift. I mean, why? But he's from Florida, so it's like, okay, that answers 6 of the 10 questions I had initially after that. But yeah.
Just so you guys are aware, Rissy just texted me, "Hi, I hear you though."
Thank God she's not hearing us.
Thank God.
This combo went sideways fucking fast.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
Also, like you said before, well, I didn't say before, but I'm saying it now. Share, like, subscribe, all that shit. Thank you all for your support. Blah 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 blah. We love you. And Bilal's not here because he's an asshole.
Well, he has to. He kind of has to sleep. It's like 2 in the morning.
Sleep. He doesn't do things. He's a myth.
Does.
It's a myth that he does things. Anyway, we're going to talk about the Ryzen main event. Kai Asakura knocking out Kyoji Horiguchi, who, in many's eyes, was arguably the number 1 flyweight / bantamweight in the world.
Why? Well, why though?
I'm not
I thought he was pretty
arguing
good.
the merits of it. I'm just telling you what a lot of people are actually talking about online.
No, he's pretty good.
He's really
pretty good,
but I wouldn't have ranked him as the number 1 in either. So
No, I wouldn't do so either. But I can see it's one of those things where you can see the case for it.
Yes,
but you don't necessarily have to agree to it. So and it's I think we can very easily say and very comfortably say that would have to be by consensus a matter between Demetrius Johnson, Henry Cejudo, and then Kyoji Horiguchi. I don't know what order you might want to put them in. I'll let you debate that. My personal number 1 would still be DJ, but that's another conversation for another time.
What is that flyweight?
Well, yeah, but flyweight, bantamweight. I mean, you have to also remember that Johnson fighting in 1, bantamweight, flyweight is not. You still have the allowances. It might as well be bantamweight.
And considering that Cejudo is the current bantamweight champion in the UFC, and Johnson did beat him in that rematch, come out.
Right. So there's enough space for both of them to be in that same conversation. Right.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it was kind of a massive shock to watch Kyoji get knocked out like that. I seriously doubt people were predicting that. So what are your thoughts? Where does this put? It was a non-title fight. So I'm going to assume that Kai will get a rematch with Horiguchi for the title.
For the title.
Though
they kind of have to now.
It is fucking Ryzen, so maybe not.
Yeah, but they want to sell shit, right? They want to sell a product, so I guess
they should. Whether they will or not.
Yeah, but what other choices do they have?
Matching Kai Asakura up with some massive ass bantamweight grappler, and they hope he gets grounded out.
Good luck with that. I mean, for that,
think so.
You could still have him in there against Horiguchi, who can grapple. Like, inevitably, look, Horiguchi's already clamoring for a rematch, and he wants it to be for the title.
Oh yeah.
So if you do that, and the thing is now, let's say they do decide to give in to that demand, it would make a hell of a year-end show. They're going to need an event to fill out. They've got the event in October, and then I don't know if they're doing anything for November, but they will guaranteed have a big blowout at the end of the year. Why not let him have a little room to recover from a loss like this? Let his body heal and his mind. And it's still something of a short turnaround because you're still talking about 4 months.
Only 4 months, yeah.
But it's still better than 3 months, Which
sure, we don't.
You have a storyline. You have a storyline that you can market.
Yes, exactly. Sure. I mean, you have a legitimate claim to a title because he already fought and beat the champion. Now we're going to do it for realsies. That's a different thing.
How much does Ryzen want to protect Horiguchi, though?
Do they, though? I don't.
I don't think they want to because they have been trying to make the Asakuras happen for a while.
Yeah.
So this suits them perfectly, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you're not protecting him. You're not protecting him at all in any situation. Putting him in there against guys like Kape, putting him in there against and Asakura himself. Again, I think that the larger problem now with the way that a lot of us here in the West are perceiving this is that there's a lot of people who haven't really been paying attention to what Ryzen's been doing and who the Asakuras are, especially Kai, and what a lethal striker he can be, what a quick submission opportunist he can be once he grabs a hold of somebody's neck. These guys are good, man. These guys are legitimate.
Phenomenal.
These guys are the real deal, and they're phenomenal fighters. The problem is that there were many questions coming in on whether or not he was on Horiguchi's level because the body of work is different. The expertise level is different. The team and training are different. And so it's very easy to write someone off when you're not very familiar with what they can do. I'm guilty of it sometimes. There's fighters that I just look at and I go, okay, you had a couple of look, we have a contender series, right? There's a bunch of these guys that have been fighting dudes in Gladiator Challenge. I can't pick them. You know what I mean? Like, I can't. They might surprise me. They might actually come out and have legitimate skills, like Derek Anderson in Bellator. He had a bunch of fights in Gladiator and Explode. Oh, I think he only did Gladiator. I don't know if he fought for Explode, but it's the same thing essentially. But he turned out to be a legitimate talent, beating one of the pit bulls. So you have to be. Well, no, I mean, one of the pit bulls. Ben, of course, having his contention as to who should there should only be one.
There can be only one fucking Highlander.
Yes. Well, the Bellator pitbull, you know what I'm talking about. But what I'm saying is, like, when you have some of these cats, like, just because they fought a bunch of dudes that you don't know does not mean that they don't have legitimate skills that they can use to fight and actually build a top-level skill set and start hanging with the higher-level guys. It happens, man. It happens. I'll tell you what, though. In a rematch, I don't think I'd favor him.
Oh, no, I don't think anybody would. And a lot of that has to do with, Horiguchi obviously having that depth of skill and also the resume to back it up, as opposed to Kai, who you can kind of look at it and say, like, wow, he's a lethal striker and he caught Horiguchi coming in. But realistically, if his fight was to go 3, 4, 5 rounds, well, in a UFC context, obviously, but in the Ryzen context, it's different. But if it was to go the distance, how would that look and how would they match up?
And, I mean, does it need to go the distance, though? Right. Like, I mean, we saw this one get over mighty quick.
And Horiguchi also hits fuck hard. So, there's no
question. So does Asakura.
Right. And Asakura has also been knocked out before, so it's not out of the question that he could be finished. Nobody can obviously not be finished, but you know what I mean there.
Yes, he can drive.
Back to one thing that I actually want to point out is an argument I had with Bilal was about specifically in the wrestling for Frankie Edgar versus Max Holloway, and we were arguing basically where he was saying, like, I haven't seen...
Oh, my God, we're with this again.
Just wait, no. I'll explain. So the way you said it, like, just because you don't know these guys doesn't mean they're not really fucking good. Same thing. Just because we haven't seen Holloway fight a elite wrestler in a while doesn't mean that the skills aren't there. And he displayed those skills against lesser wrestlers, but the fact that he displayed those skills in the first place made me have confidence enough to say, I believe Max Holloway will be able to do X, Y, and Z and defend Frankie Edgar's takedowns. It was the exact same concept, I would say. That you can not know who they're fighting and still watch them and say, this is a really fucking great fighter. And I agree with you there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, you're also looking at big fish, small pond situation, right? Horiguchi was looking unstoppable because you're like, well, who's he going to really fight? Who poses a threat? There's a lot of that going on. Again, the lack of recognition. But... Yeah. They're doing a lot of crossover stuff with other organizations. They might be able to do a crossover with one at some point. And if we get that rematch with DJ,
I'm sooner than later though, because
assuming he beats Asakura,
know how much longer before DJ starts to slow down. I mean, he's not young, especially by lighter weight standards, and he's got a lot of fights.
He has.
Like, so is Horiguchi, but he's still younger.
But he's 28
younger in his career and younger physically. So, I mean, I actually don't think that the time where we see DJ get a shock loss is that far off.
Well, especially if he keeps fighting like heavier people.
That too. Well, I think that has more to do with the ONE FC weight cuts being bullshit.
That's so fucked up. Like, I don't know why it isn't like bigger news. Like, we swear you guys that this thing is done properly. Just take our word for it.
Hey man, listen. I'm just gonna give you guys a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, not too much. But when I wrote the preview for one of the events a while back, and they were talking about weight cuts and stuff, I was like, I don't think I'm not gonna include the weigh-in result thing. I think we're gonna leave that part alone because it's not laziness. It's not like, oh, I'm taking this out because it's just I don't really know. I'm not sure how to have this conversation exactly. You're not really saying the last event they did the weigh-ins, with video and stuff, but I guess they had a thing with they showed the weigh-ins. Some fighters were over the weight limit and they were able to make weight afterwards, but that wasn't public. I'm I don't know where that. I don't know. I don't know. Like, what do you say to that? What do you do with that? This is just presenting another set of problems here, and it's just, I don't know.
Wow.
Is this where we swear, guys? Everything is good.
Yeah, we pinky swear. Yeah, we all right. Like I guess I don't know.
Like, can you watch those guys and say like, why are they fighting?
Jesus.
Well, look, man. I think the larger thing now is that it's still a non-title fight, and he's still Horiguchi still holds both Bellator and Ryzen belts.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. How much stock you want to put into the whole lineal champion thing or not.
I mean, that guy on Bloody Elbow who does those fan posts.
Hey, shout out to Matt Janasek, man.
Those fucking articles.
Those are
He hasn't
amazing.
done one of those in a long time too.
That's public service, man.
My man's a hero for that, for real.
Because that shit took effort, and I really hope he's doing well because he hasn't done one in a while.
Yeah, but that's
back if you hear that.
But that's I think we should probably wait it out. If Horiguchi doesn't in fact return this year, I'm going to be intrigued to see if he's getting that shot or if he's going to defend the Bellator title. You got two lines waiting. One of them's longer than the other. I want to see what happens.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump right into UFC 241 then, because there's a lot to talk about on this card. Stipe Miocic took his title back in emphatic fashion after not doing much for the first 2.5 rounds.
No, well, he was doing something, just
it was mostly getting hit in the face.
But also
he was
kind of.
We're gonna let's first congratulate Stipe because he fucking deserves it, because top 3 favorite fighters of mine, and I have a massive amount of respect for the guy. I legitimately adore him as a fighter. I was ecstatic when he just finished Cormier. No disrespect to Cormier, obviously. Seems like a really good dude. But, fuck that. Stipe Miocic, bitches. Stone Cold Stipe Miocic. TKO, round 4, 4 minutes, 9 seconds. Guys, what are your takeaways? Because I got a lot of shit to say, but before I gush, I would say you guys go ahead. Let's start with Victor, since he's the guest.
Oh, well, thank you. I was a little gutted, man. I was sad for Daniel. I really wanted to see him go out on top. I thought that if he won this one, he was finally going to go home, closes the door on a trilogy. There's no, it pretty much solidifies his legacy at heavyweight, and everything could be fine. But at the same time, man, like, where would that have left Stipe? It would have left Stipe in the situation that Cormier was when John popped for PEDs a while back, where it's like, well, now I'm going to be fighting for the title, even though I just lost. It would have been one of those weird situations where it would have affected his legitimacy. But I'm happy for the guy coming back and getting it. He's no longer in limbo. There is a possibility of a third fight with Cormier. I kind of hope it doesn't happen. I'm sad, but at the same time, man, look, Cormier doesn't have that weight on his shoulders anymore. He still can hold his head up high. He's still got a hell of a career. And this is where the dad thing comes in. For those of you who don't have kids, it probably doesn't mean as much to you. The context may not be as strong, but that moment of him outside the cage when his son's crying, he gives him a kiss, says, "Nah, man, don't cry," and he walks with him. Like, that sort of show. Like, I know that feeling. I know what that is. That shit hurt to see, but him handling that with that grace, with that humility towards, at least in that moment, with his family. That's another sign of him having a degree of character that, unfortunately, we don't always see a lot of these days. And I know it doesn't mean much to a lot of people. That shit meant a hell of a lot to me.
I hear that. Alejandro, go ahead.
Yeah, like what I wanted to say was that you kind of saw like the full extent of DC's like abilities here in this fight, and the thing that came to my mind when I was watching was that DC is really not a kickboxer, because you kind of see that there are things that he does well, but it reminds me like either one of you ever play Armored Core, like the video game with the robots? Like, when you put them together,
love that game.
Yeah. Okay, do you remember that you could like overheat like certain weapons if you spam them too much.
I didn't play the
that-
game, so I don't know.
It's like you make like your own Gundam basically. Like you assemble like, do you want to have like tank treads and wheels? Do you want them to have legs? You distribute how much weight, what kind of cannons he's got on his shoulder, what your main weapon is, side weapon. It's dope. It's good.
Yeah,
That sounds fucking.
So there's weapons that you can use, but if you spam them too much, like they overheat, and you kind of have to give them a while for them to come back to normal before you can use them again. And I was watching the fight, and during the second round, or it was the third, I remember that I made a comment in Slack, like when we were watching the fight, and I said, like, this fight is getting away from DC, because like it felt to me like he was overheating, like he was sort of spamming this one thing that he does, but when he's not like waiting it like with something else, like it sort of gets away from him, like, and you kind of started seeing all the holes that he has, like even in this sort of herky-jerky motions that he does when he gets into the pocket, when he sort of starts putting his hands like forward because he doesn't want to be outside and he's not comfortable just keeping his hands up. Like it's almost like he feels like he would much rather. Wait, what? You there?
We're all here.
Okay,
yeah, I'm here too. I don't know what happened.
No, okay. It almost feels like if he's not there
Ben, can you hear
in
me?
some way, shape, or form.
Okay. Yeah, so he just fell out.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Are you hearing me?
Yes. Keep talking. You're good.
Oh yeah. So that if he's not sort of grinding something, he feels like the fight is sort of getting away from him for whatever reason. Like, but in this case, he chose not to wrestle. Like consistently, he chose not to wrestle.
I will disagree with you there. I don't think he chose not to wrestle. I don't think he had the choice.
No, okay.
I know what he said.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what he said. That
I don't believe fighters about what they say in the fights unless it actually is like a specific sequence where they're like, I went left because of X, Y, and Z. If a fighter says like, if a fighter says, I should have wrestled instead of struck with him, and I didn't strike because I got away with, I struck because I got away from the game plan. Like, no, you didn't. You couldn't wrestle him anymore. And in fact, when you tried, or in the wrestling exchanges that took place later in the as the fight went on, you were getting out wrestled.
No, but it didn't seem to me like he was making an effort to wrestle as much.
He was trying to get to the clinch and land that right hand, but
I don't think he was actively trying to get to a clinch, honestly.
We'll disagree there. I think this fight he actually was actively trying to get to a clinch, compared to the first fight where he wasn't so much.
I don't know, Victor.
Anyway, go on. Yeah, go ahead.
Wait, what?
No, go ahead. You weren't finished your point. It sounded like.
No, I don't know. I wanted to know what Victor thought.
Oh, go ahead. Then Victor.
I didn't hear anything you said. I can't hear him. For some reason, I can't hear Alejandro. I don't know what happened.
Can you hear him now?
I can't hear him. Okay. This is...
Well, it doesn't matter because everything Alejandro said was shit.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow,
the important thing is that Alejandro was talking nonsense. And basically, in a nutshell, what he said was that well, what did you say in a nutshell, Alejandro?
I was able to glean that he was referring to the whole thing about him not
at some point
deviating from the game plan and not wrestling as much as he could have and all that. So
you guys actually can't hear each other because you're both talking at the same time. It's kind of funny.
What?
Well, we're talking at the same time because we can't hear each other.
Yeah, I know. That's the funny part.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Okay, Alejandro left, and he's going to try and rejoin.
All right, good job. Right. So now that he's gone, let's talk about Mexican people. Oh, no, wait, there he is.
Oh,
okay.
Shit, Mexican's back.
Yay. No, that's cool.
I'm back.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Okay,
I can hear you too.
Victor, what are your thoughts on the fight, basically from the point of view of the actual fight? Because one of the things is that Alejandro brought up is that Cormier decided to not wrestle, and he did talk about it. I happen to disagree. I think that Stipe actually discouraged the wrestling, specifically after the first round. And we saw that when Cormier did try to force those wrestling exchanges as time went on, he was kind of shut down and was actually getting out-wrestled. And
yeah.
they also make adjustments in the clinch itself, where instead of going for that underhook where Cormier was landing that right hand off of, just like in the first fight and earlier in this fight, he actually started gripping the bicep to prevent those punches. So I think it was adjustments from that actually discouraged the wrestling rather than Cormier, quote unquote, getting away from the game plan.
No, I also think he figured out the timing and the hand placement that Cormier was using with the hand traps and the parries to break through that guard and start sneaking shots down the middle. Mm-hmm. Now he was doing that at first, and you might have noticed that he was eating a lot of punishment inside with that at first. But once he started figuring it out, he starts landing one, then he starts landing two, then he starts landing two more, and he started taking over the tempo. And that was interesting to see how smart he fought and how he was able to make those adjustments on the fly. It's like, and Cormier doesn't get enough credit for being one of the smarter fighters in the game, but the fact he was able to do that against a guy who's, again, really good at making those adjustments moment to moment and make adjustments of his own, that was great. And the body shots, that's the big story, man. He's been, and I think I said it, I might have mentioned it last week on the Level Change, which, by the way, you should be listening to. His susceptibility to body shots in, say, the Frank Mir fight, where he was eating body kicks. The John Jones fights, where you didn't see too much of that, but there were some shots like that, and it started sapping his cardio.
I think the first fight is where we saw a lot of knees, specifically to the body.
But
John Jones in rounds 2 and 3, if I remember correctly.
Right, but we saw that had a very, very strong effect. We saw that it started to wear him down, and Cormier wasn't able to walk him down as effectively as he was doing so earlier in the fight. As far as the wrestling being discouraged, well, Stipe is a very good wrestler, not Olympic caliber, but I don't know.
I would say that, like, here's the thing, like, Stipe may have weighed less, but that's a human being. That is a naturally larger individual than Daniel Cormier is.
Well, he is, but even so, we were able to see Cormier lift him off the ground, as I predicted. One of the things that Cormier loves doing, finding someone bigger than him and dumping him right on his ass, and he did it.
Josh Barnett all the way through.
All the way through. It was monstrous. I mean, it was.
And he held him for a while.
He did. He walked him. He carried him like
looking down and just like, well, shit.
Yeah, he was regretting life decisions. It's like whenever I end up in side control against a guy who weighs like 300-something pounds, and he's just got all that body weight distributed all over me, and I'm sitting there thinking, God damn it, I should have finished college. That was exactly what Stipe's face. And the other thing about that is that, you know, I don't know that I know what he said, and I understand the point of Stipe discouraging the wrestling because he was using his striking effectively. But I think that if Cormier had pushed a little more and chased, you know, maybe done a little more chain wrestling on his own, right? Not giving up on the single leg, running the pipe a little more. I think that if he had given it a little more oomph, he would have eventually broken Stipe down and gone. Even though Stipe's got tremendous cardio, which doesn't get enough love or credit.
Yeah, I mean, Cormier gassed out well before Stipe did.
But that was also a combination of the body work that was coming in too.
Even by round 3, one thing that isn't being talked about is the left hooks. Everyone is obviously talking about the left hooks to the body. Round 3, Stipe landed, I think it was 3 really hard knees left. I believe it was left knees to the body as well. That really seemed to take a lot out of Cormier. And I mentioned it on the Slack. I'm like, those are some really good knees, but. I don't think anyone's talking about the fact that during round 3 is where I think that Miocic kind of got the idea of the body shot and adjusted it with that left hook, where he saw it was an open target. And like it's been said before, like you just said also, way back in the day, we know that Cormier's kind of had an issue with body shots for a long time. You know, if Frank Mir is hurting,
is that real? I don't know if that's true.
He has, though. Frank Mir, Anderson Silva really hurt him to the body.
I know, but wait. My point is that is it really that he has an issue with body shots or that people use it more with him? Because in general, body shots are a bitch.
Right.
Like, it's not like
he seemingly doesn't have an idea of how to defend them properly.
No, well, that's an issue with training, but what I'm trying to say is that body shots have a significant effect when they, when you actually line them up one after the other, and there's no defensive intent when you see them coming. Like, this shit hurts a lot.
I'm not talking about he can't. I'm saying his specific durability to body shots is suspect. I'm saying the fact that his inability to defend them
Well, but that's like a technical thing. Like
right? No, I'm
anybody.
saying it's a technical issue. Is that people don't seem to take advantage of it enough against him? Is that it's there? The body
Not
shot.
Paulo Costa though.
Well, I mean, he's not fighting Paulo Costa, and we'll get there.
I'm just happy. I'm just happy somebody's breaking bodies.
I do feel confident saying this. Both Cormier and Miocic kind of showed atrocious defense in general in this fight, right?
Yeah, that stuff. It started going out the window. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it started
heavyweight MMA, man.
Cormier landed 80 goddamn % of his significant strike in the first round. That is absurd.
That's crazy.
And the reason why like people are like, wow, how did Stipe eat those shots? He saw them coming this time. Like I think that was a big part of why he didn't really throw in the first round, where he was kind of just like, I think he knew he was gonna get like just deal with it. But in the first, second, third round, like he was eating a lot of shots and waiting like to counter against a guy with faster hand speed, which doesn't make sense to me, and I don't like the game plan they came out with.
Well, if you take Stipe at his word, he said he was fighting like a bitch.
Right, and here I am.
Like
I can get it, where the guy who knocked him out is standing against the ring from him and is still hitting him. So I get what he's saying. It makes sense.
I just think they had a bad game plan.
I agree. Which is what disappoints me, because usually Miocic's camp has really good game plans that make perfect sense for the particular fighter they're fighting.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't necessarily have the best skills to apply them, it's a really good game plan. He works them.
Maybe he needed a while, like, to get going. I mean, like he's been inactive for like more than a year.
We were talking about, well, me and Bilal and I were talking about was like Stipe needs to put that mid-range, outfighting game together, but he needed to go first. He has the range on Cormier. Fucking use it. Instead, he was trying to counter a faster fighter. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, but he ended up getting the victory. It seems like Cormier wants a rematch.
Yeah, but I don't know that I want to see that, honestly.
I'm okay with it only because Stipe got the rematch.
But he got it like a year later, and
right. But
I don't know.
Again, I wouldn't cry about it, but I kind of want to see Stipe shutting Ngannou down again. So,
he may lose this time. He may lose this time. Okay.
I don't agree with that. Like, listen,
I
Ngannou's crazy, but what has he developed since then? Like, he's been the same fighter.
Okay, but that's still good enough. Like, I think the problem isn't so much. The problem isn't so much like him having. What is there for him to develop other than
take something on
with Gagne? Like, the guy should maybe he should learn how to, I don't know, draw counters, strikes out so that he can actually counter those intentionally, rather than just waiting for somebody to tentatively throw a leg kick or something.
I think more of what he has to do is shore up certain levels of his defense, certain elements of his defensive game. He doesn't need to start drilling arm bars, obsessively, unless it's for the purpose of learning how to defend it. Because of the and I'm sure Ben and Alejandro, I'm sorry, I'm excluding you from this because I don't know to what extent you might have done any training, but I know Ben knows this for sure. There's a lot of the trappings, a lot of the mechanical aspects. Being able to break things down by performing certain submissions will allow you to prevent them, because once you see how these things work, and anyone who's listening is probably familiar with this, but I really can't stress enough just how true that is and how much of a benefit that can be. I mean, I know it certainly helped me a lot. Like, I don't see why it wouldn't be able to help someone like him, but it's not the greatest of priorities. I mean, there's something that could be said for like using feints, drawing counters. Like, yes, I hear that. I don't know that it's something that he really, look at the rest of the top of the division, right? How much evolution is the division going to really have? It's hard to say, but it hasn't evolved that much in the last 5 years.
You're right, but at the same time, one big problem with Ngannou is that he doesn't really have an answer in layered exchanges. Like, he doesn't do an initial layer, but realistically, like, in deeper exchanges, if you remember correctly, like, Stipe was able to catch him with some really fucking hard shots and actually kind of stunned him, which is what led, I think, to him losing that fight in the first, like in that first round, he got stunned, and then that's when Stipe really started coming at him.
Yeah, I mean,
really
this is
there needs to be some sort of like his ability to just land counters and have that timing, even off of weird angles, is unprecedented just because of his level of athleticism and speed and explosiveness compared to, I would say, compared to 99% of heavyweights. Like, we've had a Brock, but Brock is a totally different style.
yeah.
We've lost Alejandro.
We have. Oh, he'll be back.
Goddamn Mexican. Hey, Alejandro.
You can't keep them out. That's why they're awesome. And you know what the best thing is? You might not want to admit it, but you want them here. You really do.
Yes, I want them here.
Yes, indeed.
I mean,
hey, I think this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier with like guys that come up through explode and all that. Like Ngannou's skill set, as good as it is, he didn't have to sharpen as much. He didn't have to hone as many skills and talents when he was fighting some part-time fighter who was a cab driver that did Krav Maga on Saturdays or whatever, right? Like, when he was doing that in France and he was like obliterating dudes, yeah, that got him the big dance. But there's more things that you could be doing. And I think they did the right thing going to say Extreme Couture and training some of the guys there, but. Having Michael Chiesa as your grappling partner or whatnot, like that's only going to get you so far. I think there's, there are developmental steps that fighters need to make, and I think that he was able to, due to his physical gifts and sort of his freakish instincts, was able to bypass a lot of things, and now he's sort of playing catch up, and that's what makes it hard for you to get a read as to how he'll be able to perform against someone like Stipe Miocic in a rematch or against Daniel Cormier if they decide to do that. Which honestly, I don't think they should. No, they should not so much because of Cormier, but because Well, I mean, look, he deserves a shot anyway.
Have fights lasting longer than a minute, so we don't really know.
He's been on deck for a while. He should be next.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he's after messing up with game.
God damn it. I'm sorry about that, by the way. Unless there's much else to talk about, I know that Alejandro would like to argue, but I don't think we have the time for it. To me, Stipe Miocic is the pound for pound.
No, he's not, but you're cute. You're cute.
I'm not. No. We could discuss it after the fact, but he's the best heavyweight of all time. And I don't think it's by a lot. Hold on. I don't think it's by a lot. I think it's very, very arguable for Fedor. I just happen to fall on the side of Stipe. But
yeah, you're right.
Another time. Nate Diaz comes back after 3 years to get a unanimous decision win over Anthony Pettis. Come on, Pettis.
No, I'm happy that to be wrong for once.
I actually am too, because the reason why is because, like, I know a lot of people kind of like lump Nick and Nate together, but I actually like Nate Diaz a lot.
I'm actually quite ambivalent to him.
That's fair, but I'm just saying, like, I really enjoy Nate for what he is, and he's a really fucking good fighter. Let me just give you like a really fun story. I met Nate. I was at the MMA Expo in 2012 or 2011.
Nice.
And he was there. He's doing a signing. I go up to him like, so I have a question for you. And he's like, sure. What? Like, I can't imitate his voice. He's like, what's up? I'm like, so your brother's at welterweight. You're lightweight, but so is Gil. So, okay, no, this was not 11. This was like 2013 or 2014. But whatever it is, it was when Gil was already in the UFC and Nate and Nick were all in the UFC. I'm like, what are you gonna do? I mean, you're really big. You can't make that cut to 145, right? He's like, well, so the plan is for Gil to win the lightweight title. I think this was even like, yeah, and for Nick is gonna win the welterweight title. I'm like, so what are you gonna do? He's like, well, I'm gonna move up and fight Anderson Silva. Or I think it was, I think that's what he said. I would fight for the middleweight title for sure. I don't remember if it was already after Anderson lost his belt, but I think it was before. And I'm like, what? What the fuck did you just say? So he's like, yeah, I'm going to move up to middleweight and fight Anderson Silva. Yeah, this was 2013. And I'm like, that's fucking crazy. you're fucking in my head because I'm not going to tell him that. But I'm like, fucking nuts.
You slap your ass.
I couldn't even laugh. I was just like, did he just fucking tell me he's going to go up and fight Anderson Silva at 185? Like, I remembered, like Rory was fucking like throwing him like a doll. But he's going to fight Anderson Silva and win the middleweight title.
No, he's put some good weight on
the middleweight title. He didn't say I'm going to fight Anderson Silva. He said I'm going to win. I was like, that's fucking amazing. And then I took a picture with him, and it was great. Like, I'm like, Nate's cool. He's also really fucking big. Like, really fucking big. But anyway, Pettis Diaz. Alejandro, go.
As I said, I'm happy to be wrong because I actually assumed that Pettis would just kick his legs and like fight him on the outside.
He tried.
Yeah, but no. He tried after he ran out of things to do. Okay, because for whatever reason he was like slugging it out with Diaz, who, by the way, didn't show up quite as slick as he used to be. Which he's been away for 3 years, so give the man a break. But his boxing fundamentals seemed kind of sketchy. I also thought that he might have been injured for this fight, like something with his knee or something. Like he didn't seem to be putting weight on it like properly. But anyways, he did pretty damn well. Like he showed up with a game plan, like tailor-made for Pettis, which I actually quite enjoyed because it's odd to think that Nate Diaz would show up to a fight and be like super responsible and stick to a game plan and do what elite fighters do, which is win difficult fights, and he's kind of fallen short before in his fight like with RDA and Benson Henderson, and then he kind of stopped getting like those chances that you kind of need, and he kind of like stumbled into the Conor gig for a while, and then he got that out of the way, and then he went home, and then he returns, and he does kind of well now, and I'm kind of happy that I get to enjoy Nate fight because everything else is like aggressively mundane for me, and like I know like people like he's like really like as far as MMA is concerned like a superstar, but I kind of don't enjoy that part. It's kind of meh, but I like to watch him fight, and I kind of like what I saw, especially since he's coming back from a long layoff.
3 years.
Three fucking years.
I feel like it took him time to really get into it. Like in that first round, he got, I don't want to say rocked, but he was definitely.
Dude, Pettis hits fucking hard, man.
Fucking, like hurt him like 3 times. I feel like during that round.
Yeah, no, he hit him really hard. Like I was watching the fight, and he was actually getting him like cleaner than Conor was getting him at that spot in the fight. Like during the first 3 minutes, I was like, holy shit, he's gonna finish Nate. And then he kind of didn't, and I was like, oh, this is getting interesting. And then Nate like morphed in Randy Couture with knees, which was fun to watch, and better like pocket boxing.
What do you got, Vic?
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
You really thought he was gonna win? You really thought?
I was telling everybody that my man had his back, and he was just coming out here, and they will go out there, beat that ass, real gangsters.
You did do the laugh, like.
Yeah, she thought you were gonna win.
No, man. Listen, I saw it coming, dude.
How? 3 years. 3 years. How?
Yes, 3 years. Okay, he's not on his couch for 3 years. This dude is doing triathlons for fun. Okay, he never stopped. Oh no, it's not. You're right, but he's still putting up Instagram videos of him training. He's still boxing with Perez. He's still doing everything. Well, Pettis actually, because a little bit of a primer here, folks. No one that is Latino actually says Perez when they're speaking to another Latino person. There's a reason for that. It was a concession we made to white people.
Hey, do you remember? Hey, did you know that Anthony Pettis was actually Anthony Pettis?
Yes, they changed his name. They anglicized his name. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
How
That
weird
was
is that?
that was wild. Yeah. But no, getting back to this, the thing is that seeing that he still remained active both in his physical preparation and in his actual fight training, it's like, dude, he's not really missing any steps. he's still in. I mean, I don't want to say he's in his prime or anything like that, but he's still evolving. We saw from the Michael Johnson fight, he was checking leg kicks, and everyone's talking about how like everyone wants to harp on the Diaz brothers being figured out. And as I said last week too, I felt that had been the case a while back. But you know what, man? You know who really has been figured out? Anthony Pettis. He negated the mid range. He was able to go and engage him on his terms. You know,
Yes.
whether it was playing the range game or working the clinch inside. And if it was at the mid-range, he was able to defend well. And, yeah, he ate some shots, but, you know, he's not a stranger to that. Like, how hard was Pettis really going to be able to hit him that he hadn't been hit before, or was he able to really hit that button? And that's what we got. You know, we got a hell of a fight, and the exchanges on the ground were wildly fun. I was very happy.
You should note that that Diaz checked a leg kick.
He checked a few.
And one of them broke Anthony Pettis' foot, which is fucking weird because when the fuck did Diaz start doing that shit?
A couple of years ago, especially most notably in the Michael Johnson fight. People forget, man. People forget.
He ate a lot of leg kicks in those fights, though.
But he started doing it, man. He started doing it.
But like dozens of leg kicks or something like that.
Hey, man, listen. Dude was working on it. That time away, it showed. So, you know, I'm not mad at it, man. I thought it was great. I thought it was an excellent performance on his part, and there's no reason that anyone should have been, that surprised. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Anything to add, Alejandro? No.
Oh yeah, he might have muted his
Away for a
microphone.
bit. No, he muted him.
Oh
Right, so we're gonna
wow,
move
that's
on.
cool.
That's okay. He's a dick. Costa Romero. Holy shit. Jesus Christ. This fight was crazy. Like, really fucking crazy, though. It's weird that Pettis, Diaz, and Miocic Cormier, for as crazy as they were, that this fight is thrice as crazy as those two. First of all, full disclosure, I scored that for Romero. It was a really close fight. Don't get me wrong. There's a very strong argument for Costa winning that fight. I happen to score for Romero. I do think this should have been 5 rounds because this deserved.
Yeah, because Romero would have won.
Well, that too. Well, I think he won anyway, but I happen to. I remember when people were like, "Oh yeah, main events are always going to be 5 rounds. That's awesome." To me, it's like if you have if you have a top 5 fighter fighting, I think the rule should just be 5 rounds, like period.
But that used to be for a little bit. Like when Nate fought Conor the first time, they fought for 5. It was for 5 rounds.
Yeah, I think the problem is that
I think that's because it was originally scheduled for 5 rounds because it was an RDA fight. Remember?
Yeah, but Nate still has to sign the contract.
Right. So they offered. I don't know if it was also still the main event.
Yeah, but you know what? The problem is that the lack of guarantees for title shots. This is in some ways it's sort of a leverage thing too. You know, they don't have to promise anyone anything. A guy gets a little too high up on it, saying like, "Yeah, this is a number 1 contender fight." Is it really? We've seen it happen where a guy wins a number 1 contender fight and he doesn't get it.
Well, that's why I'm saying not number 1 contender fights. I'm saying any fight with a top 5 ranked fighter should be 5 rounds.
Look,
you eliminate all subjectivity. Whoever is ranked top 5, if you're fighting, it's a 5-round fight. I don't care if it's
okay. But let me say this. Okay, let me say this. In principle, yes, because you get to see like the better fighter win most likely. And in this case, Romero was the better fighter, but I saw Costa winning, to be honest. But the takeaway that I have from this is that do you really want to see like people get like, because imagine this guy is going an extra 2 rounds, like they're gonna be so banged up that they may have to like wait for like 8 months, 9 months before actually fighting again.
Well, I don't want to see it happen because of the fact that fighter pay is shit.
Yeah. Also that,
so,
of course.
I'm not really advocating for that. I'm saying that this should have been just a main event on a smaller fight card, just because I would want to see this fight go 5 rounds in particular, because I do think that that would have seen
Yeah.
Romero for sure win, and I think he would have finished Costa. And honestly, I would have
possibly
watching that. But the fight we did get was fucking wild.
fun and sloppy.
Defense, not great in terms of actual stats, and both of them got hit.
Costa is so bad in defense.
Both of them got dropped.
Oh.
Romero got dropped once. Costa got dropped once. Costa drops Romero, and then Romero points to the fucking crowd or something, and Costa actually falls.
I remember that.
And Romero just fucking blasts him to knock him down. That's
Dude, he has a chin.
both. Yeah, I mean,
That guy has a
the
chin.
fact that Romero, who after all of these wars can still take it like that. I mean, there are some still.
That's fucking
shots showing
wild.
the actual power behind the kicks Costa landed. He landed this head kick that fucking rearranged Romero's face, and he didn't even react. Like Romero,
Yeah, like he's a Ubermensch, man. He's a Ubermensch.
he is no, because he's not white skin. Blonde.
No, fuck that. That was wrong. He got it wrong.
He got it.
He got
fucking
it wrong.
wrong, sir. Like,
Yes.
Can you just imagine you're in like world like this is 1933 and it's the fucking I think that was when the Olympics were, and you just see Romero show up and you're just like, how the
Oh,
fuck do
fuck.
I fucking
He's
tell this Aryan
fuck.
shit? What the
He's just
hell do I
better
do?
than us.
What do I even do?
Mm.
Like Hitler would have had to reevaluate all of his shit.
Yeah, like,
But I digress. But some things that I actually we were pointed out last week was just like the body shots. Obviously, if Costa really played into it.
dude, he's kind of a dirty fighter, man.
Oh, he's dirty as fuck. But what's clear
He throws.
is that
He
Costa
attacks
was more
testicles.
gassed. Costa was more. I wouldn't say he's more gassed. But it affected his fighting ability much
Yes, it
more
did.
than Romero in round 3, despite all those body shots landed. And that's what's crazy about Romero is that even when he's tired within 3 minutes, he doesn't.
He's 41 years old,
He's
man.
dead at 42, I think.
Oh, but yeah, that's true.
He's kind of like Cruz in that sense, where he's tired after 2 minutes, but he still fights. But the specific improvements that we saw in Costa were really impressive. Obviously, I don't think we saw defensive improvements, but
No, he probably worse.
But his actual pressuring game was clearly extremely effective. So his pressure footwork really works.
Also, very limited to just the things he does well.
Yes, and what's impressive is that when he faced a strength and power parity, he still was able to apply his game.
Yeah.
That's a real problem for middleweight right now. Like, that's a problem for Whitaker. That's a problem for Izzy. Because nobody else can match his physical capabilities.
Other than Romero.
Vic, you got any thoughts? Sorry.
No, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to see the whole fight yet, so I can't really say much. What I did see was pretty bonkers. So
Yeah, it was definitely bonkers.
The fight was like one long animated GIF. Just like highlights of people do
one big
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Also, like, I was having fun with it, but fucking Paulo Costa is like very good looking guy. Like, motherfucker, like some people just get everything.
If we're being honest, he's
like Island Jovan, but jacked up.
He's a fucking stud.
It's like he seems to have eaten 3 Alan Jabons.
That's
sadly, yes.
Jesus Christ, what a fucking good call. Also, random interjection: Cub Swanson is fighting Kron Gracie at UFN 161.
Yeah, I figured that they're basically doing they're using the Sage Northcutt playbook, except they were able to really make it work this time. Just wipe out the guys that they don't really want hanging around anymore. So
Kron's gonna win that fight, I think.
He might.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, moving on. If you're both ready to.
All right, sure.
Yeah, we got. Let's talk about Youssef versus Benitez, because I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. Very briefly, so that Alejandro only has to suffer a little bit. Sadiq Youssef is a legitimately good prospect. Like to
So he's
get
Benitez, but he's sleeping right now.
to get that to get hurt like that, get up and look that composed, right? Like that is really impressive. And
Yeah.
that is part of what like really gets me behind a prospect. That kind of composure and ability to just continue to do what was working while adjusting what wasn't against a really clever and good opponent like Gabriel Benitez. That's really impressive. Now it sucks that he's from Team Lloyd Irvin.
Fuck! Don't tell me that.
Sorry, but damn, like he's a real fucking problem. He's a really big fucking problem at 145. Any thoughts on this, either of you?
Yeah, I'm just bummed.
Oh,
No, man,
yeah.
my dude was doing well, man, before being put to sleep. That shit hurts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm I'm a little more bummed than you are, not because of the fact that the guy who got knocked out was a countryman of mine or anything, but more the fact that a guy who's got so much talent like yourself, a guy who's got a lot of great things in his future, unfortunately, he's a Lloyd Irvin guy, and
Yeah,
there
I did not
are
know that.
there are better ways, I think, and but I get it, man. Look, I understand some people. They're very big on loyalty. I understand that, but come on, man.
Fuck.
It sucks, but I mean, gotta give credit to like he's a fucking great fighter, and there's a serious potential there. Brunson Heinisch, real quick mention of just really impressed that Brunson is finally not panicking under every little bit of pressure that he faced. He gets rocked and manages to come back and win the fight. That's really fucking impressive because it's something that he hasn't historically been able to do. So credit to Derek Brunson. I mean, using range tools, something he hasn't done despite being a really fucking long ass fighter. So good for him.
Isn't that an accident though for being head kicked? Like, did that rearrange his brain so that now he can use range
No,
tools?
apparently he hasn't been. He hasn't had a head coach. I don't know what else to say, but apparently that's a thing.
Wait, well, you know what? I agree with you because Jair Rodriguez is kind of like that. He used to have Mark Valle in his corner, but now he's kind of doing the solo thing. And turns out you can actually get far if you're like stupid athletic and just doing your own thing.
Yeah, it works for some guys for a while, and I know Brunson was doing the Jackson Winklejohn thing, but he opened up his own facility, his own place in North Carolina, presumably to be closer to his daughters, and I respect that. But the fights that he wasn't winning, save for the Anderson Silva fight, it kind of showed that he wasn't really having high level coaching or that kind of attention that he probably could have really needed. But I was surprised that he won this one. I wasn't terribly surprised, but I think it was one of those things where as I mentioned last week, I picked Heinisch largely because I just did not pick Brunson, did not trust Brunson. Rather, I couldn't put my faith into someone whose performances had been as erratic, and the fact that he got blitzed with that head kick. Yeah, I mean, it could have. I could have been right, but look, good for him. He gets to still.
Yeah.
He gets to still hang around.
Kama Worthy, great job knocking out a really touted prospect in Devontae Smith. So credit where that's due there. That was weird. They apparently were former training partners and friends. So they were super funny.
Yeah, that's sad.
So that was weird. But yeah. All right, Sandhagen, Assunção. I have to talk about this fight because I was pretty much on the fucking mark with my predictions for it and why I picked Sandhagen. He was going to overload Assunção with volume or with the varied nature of his volume, which he did. That range would just be too much for Assunção to really properly implement his counter striking ability. And on the ground, like I didn't really talk about it just because like it wasn't. I didn't think it would spend that much time there. But Sandhagen had no problems engaging with a sunset on the ground, and that's what really was super impressive to me. Beyond his ability to implement the game that I thought he would be able to implement, but the fact that he was able to basically go tit for tat with a Suncell on the ground is super impressive. And for as long as Sandhagen can make bantamweight, that's a title contender. That right there is a legitimate fucking title contender. And the problem is now is that I'm really scared they're going to match him up with Sterling, because fuck that. Give Sterling a title shot. Let Sandhagen get his own. I don't need to see one of them knock the other off.
No, have him fight Piotr Jan.
No shit. That's so weird because I can't believe I forgot about Peter Yan.
No, look. We like Piotr Jan. He's right there next to Sterling, but Sterling kind of has more mojo to go for that title shot. Let him have it, and
Sterling and Jan is where Sandhagen is right now.
And have Jan fight Sandhagen.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I can live with that. I mean, yeah, I don't think they're gonna. I think they've done pretty well with his. How do I put it? Like matching him, pairing him up against talent without rushing him too far.
Yeah.
So let's hope they do that, but you never know with these people anymore.
No, when they're not busting prospects, they're doing this. But I honestly think that this is an accident. I have no trust in them.
Well, yeah, you never know, man. I mean, if there's one batch of people that I can trust in to fuck things up, it's this crew. And that goes for everything, man. I don't, but yeah.
He's probably fighting at 155 or something. Just engage or something.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out, by the way, to Drakkar Klose for having a fun fight finally.
Oh fuck yeah, Drakkar Klose. I love that dude.
Took him 6 tries, but he had a fun fight.
Hey man, he beat Lando Banara, dude. And Lando Banara turns out is actually pretty good.
I think he's more like.
No, Lando, man, like I had this joke that he would be champ already if he hadn't lost all those fights.
Can you imagine if he won the Tony Ferguson fight though?
No, dude, like Lando is legit. He's just a fucking weirdo. Like, but his proprioception is out of this world. Like that guy has legit wrestling, legit striking, and if he just gets his mind right, like I think he can actually be like at the very least a title contender.
Well, he doesn't train at Jackson's anymore, so that's great.
No, but it's
that may be a good thing.
Isn't it it's an affiliate gym, isn't it?
It's no, it's Cerrone's. I mean,
okay.
No, that's not an affiliate gym.
Okay, no, then it's not. No, but you know what? I think beating Tony would have probably not been a great thing for him. The expectations would have been tremendous, and I don't think he would have been able to live up to them. At least not at that point. Not at that
moment. Yes.
Yeah, that's not to say that he wouldn't. I mean, he's still improving now. So.
Yeah. Anyways, Drakkar Klose. How do you pronounce that? Klose? Fucking name is Drakkar, man.
Yeah, I think his mother liked the perfume, and that's literally like the reason why he was named that. Yeah.
Yeah, like
that's fucking great.
Yeah, like Christoph Giagos like kind of bummed me because that's kind of like the wrong thing. Like how to like change stances constantly, and like I know Joe Rogan was very high up on that, but like Sandhagen was doing it properly, while Giagos was not doing it properly.
Sandhagen was doing a really good job with that because he was also giving different looks. Well, I know we're going back to that, but he's giving different looks from the spank switching, and that's what was fucking with the Sunsao too. But I think we'll move on from UFC 241. We do have 2 fights to talk about from the upcoming fight card. UFC Fight Night 157 or UFC on ESPN plus 15 or UFC on ESPN
what the fuck? What?
Shenzhen, Guangdong, China
Shenzhen.
or UFC Fight Night Andrade versus Zhang. So fuck. Jessica Andrade, Weili Zhang. Who do you got? Why? Let's go to Vic first.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just figured out where the mute button was. Yeah, I don't know.
There's always clicks in this podcast.
I like the top two fights. There's a few. Like, I'm glad this isn't a pay-per-view. I'm glad this isn't something that's, going to be given, like, an American time slot, where you start at 4 p.m. and it ends at, like, 3 a.m. It's actually, it's a 3 a.m. thing, sure. They're catering to the local market.
I'm going to miss it.
Yeah, so am I. I'm not staying up for that. You've lost your mind in real life. But the good thing is I can at least wake up and, be able to catch a tail end of it live and do all that. So, there's some stuff, but like when I used to do the, back when I used to write the winners and losers post, this is what I would have referred to as the sausage card. This is how the sausage is made, man. It's not cute. It's a lot of ugly prospect fights, guys that need a little more development and seasoning, and that's what you got. So, I like it, though, that they're doing some good things with some of these Asian prospects primarily, and that some of these Chinese fighters are looking a lot better than they did 5 or so years ago. The infrastructure
Remember when they did fucking Tough China?
Dude,
No,
I remember.
I
You know what? The worst thing is, I remember when the pilot leaked, and not the pilot, just like the first episode leaked, and they were, Kung Lee was the he was like the guest host. He wasn't a coach. He was like the guest host. And all these Chinese fighters, the problem is that they mistranslated the thing. They didn't translate it like for an American audience, I guess. They were still using it was somewhat off. And all the Chinese fighters were marveled. They're like, oh, the great American wrestler, Li Kang. Li Kang. I'm like, who the fuck is Li Kang? Likang. Like, who is that? Yes, you're right, baby. I shouldn't say it. I'm like, who is this mythical Li Kang guy? Like, is he some Olympic guy that I've never heard of? Who is Li Kang? I'm really being thrown in. And then I realized Kung Lee, the Chinese version of his name, because he was such a massive celebrity in China. And it was like, oh, okay, I see what happened. They had a yoga guy. They had another dude who had done like some Shaolin training and stuff. If you're gonna top it,
yoga.
Yeah, they had a yogi who had like done some minimal training, and he got on the show. And when he realized that he was going to have to fight other contestants that he was living and training with, he left the show.
Fuck yeah.
He couldn't do it. He's like, but these guys are my friends now. They're like, nah, my guy.
No, you have to murder.
I don't know what you read. I don't know what you signed, but no. And he left. And out of that, we end up with Li Jiangling, or as I like to call him, Jang-a-leg. Shout out to those who saw jail. Shout out to Bernie Mac. Rest in peace. Against Zaleski. Like, what an exciting fight. What a great fight, man. Between two guys. It's such a good... not only it's not an eliminator necessarily, but it's really, really good to make some hay out of the middle of the pack. Two guys that really deserve a step up, and the step up is against each other. So that's dope.
That's fucking welterweight for you.
Yeah.
Just a quick thing, and this is just a personal question for you, Vic. Let's go back to doing the winners and losers.
No. I'm going to tell you something though, and I don't think I ever talked about this. I was a little sad when I had to give it up because of certain life changes and stuff, mostly with my work schedule. But I don't really miss it as much. I'm actually quite content with the work that Dane's been doing, and I think that he needs more support. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the stuff that he says, but I respect it. Some of the stuff is, and I don't think I've ever actually talked to him about it, but I hope he's at some point, if he ever gets to hear this, I give him props.
No, I mean, go back because I just missed your articles.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just saying, like, look, that's not going to happen.
The one that I knew
so
you were doing every week. So I had like something. I was like, yes.
Let's at least, since that's not going to happen again, let's enjoy the fact that it's in capable hands. That's all I'm saying.
That's all.
And you really can't ask for more than that. So I'm really happy that he's picked up the baton, that he's run with it. But yeah, moving on to this though, Andrade versus.
But yeah, okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Andrade versus Zhang, I like it. I mean, who deserves it more than Zhang? It's definitely the right fight, and it's
rematch.
It's bold to have them have this in the challengers' home turf, but I don't know. I'm not ready to make a prediction just yet, but I really, really love the fact that this is a fight that's happening. So that's all I got on that.
I'm a big fan of the way you just broke that down. First of all, just from the broader, more like pulled out perspective, and
it has nothing to even do with the individuals fighting rather than the context surrounding the fight. And that's actually really just a very cool point to bring in.
Yeah.
That is something that needs to be talked about.
Well, that's the perspective I always try to bring to a lot of this, because I mean, you kind of have to in order to have a very fair view of a lot of stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I'll definitely going to bring up for that I think is really going to be the primary factor in this fight is that Weili has not fought anyone remotely as physically impressive as Jessica Andrade. And granted, who is, other than maybe Gadelia, but Gadelia was not that level. That matters. Like, I think that that's going to matter in this fight a lot. And I think that eventually, no matter how, and while Weili is really good, and she's actually quite well-rounded, she's powerful, she's capable of finishing both on the ground, on the feet, whatever it is, but I really feel like unless you're going to straight up finish Andrade or be Joanna and Jacek, I guess, I got to go with Andrade. I know that she has significant holes in the game. I know that she gets hit with a lot of shots. I know that Weili hits hard, but I don't think she's going to finish Andrade, and I don't think she can pull a stick-and-move game plan like Joanna did. So eventually, like Jessica gets her, I think, and puts her out.
Okay, that's like logical argument. I will make an illogical argument for why Zhang would possibly win. She's pretty good at kicking heads, and she's not going to have to be dealing with jet lag. So I think that maybe Andrade is like her defense is so porous that like this is when things go wrong. Like
I'm wondering what you found so funny just now. What you were laughing at?
Me?
Yeah.
Like I think this may be the only podcast that is like
Mike Perry, first African UFC champ.
Oh God, no!
Jesus Christ, man.
Oh my God! No, okay, okay. This may be also the only podcast that consistently has children in the background.
Mine and his, apparently, yeah.
Also, Bilal, like sometimes they're just kids in the background there. I mean, I don't know if they're demons or not.
Those are demons.
Okay, those are demons. But anyway, like there's always like children voices in the background in here. Yeah, but what I'm saying is like I'm gonna make a bold prediction and say that she kicks heads really well. She's gonna catch Andrade with something, and I think this is the part of the movie where like we're in at the beginning of Act 3, and shit just goes wrong for the main character, and like yeah, I think she might lose this. But don't tell me anything if I'm wrong. Like, but I'm totally gonna claim like I'm the one that saw this coming if it happens. Yeah, but that's it. Weili Zhang by KO round 2.
Wow, that is a very bold pick, man. That's very bold. Like I'm not, but it can happen though. You know, it's like
No jet lag. No jet lag.
Horrible defense.
But I don't. Here's the thing: does she need like top shelf defense overall?
No.
And does
She's
she?
a physical specimen among regular specimens.
I mean, here's the thing that people don't give Andrade credit for is she prepares really well. So there's a chance that she might not, wait until arriving in China like yesterday. She might have been there last week. No, baby, no.
That's the point. Hello there. Hola.
Say hola. No, there you go.
Hola.
What's his opinion?
No, he can't really hear you guys. I got the headphones on, so don't worry about it.
I mean, we should know what he thinks about.
Yeah, what he thinks? He's thinking about food all the time. That's what he's saying because he inherited my fat boy gene.
My man.
Yeah.
By the way, Vic, we never grappled.
No, we never have. We got to fix that sometime. Next time I'm in New York, we got to.
Yes, we.
Or you could come down here. I don't know. You tell me.
Or go to Staten Island.
Go to Staten Island. That's asking a bit much.
No, okay, first of all, I don't want Vic to get hurt. Secondly,
thank you.
And watch the police watch. Secondly,
or contact props.
You have to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
The last thing we're going to talk about before we end is very briefly Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. I hope I didn't butcher that. Versus the Leech, Jiangling.
That's Elizeu, but that's okay. Don't worry about it.
See, this is where I'm drawing a blank because I don't remember either of these guys.
All right, we're just gonna mute Alejandro. That's an abomination. You're an abomination.
Hey, Victor didn't watch like Costa versus Romero, so I feel pretty good about myself.
Listen, I'm gonna be perfectly honest, and I know that I might take shit for this from some people who might listen to this or hear what I'm saying. I think this is a mismatch. I don't think I have not forgotten Jiangling getting fucked up by Jake Matthews, and I don't think that in like a year that he's improved enough to the point, especially watching his last two fights, and he got blocked last night. I don't think he's on that level. I don't think he's on the level of Dos Santos, and that's
such a great point though, because like. I mean, yeah, okay, so he did get brutalized. Has he been figured out, and has he been able to make the sort of corrections that he would need against someone like this dude who's so wily and so fast and so like able and willing to close the distance in the blink of an eye? That's a great point,
and
man.
he's so skilled in every fucking aspect.
I totally forgot the Jake Matthews fight.
Well, and think about it, in his last fight against Zawada, he got dropped and fucked up in that first round too. And he basically kind of was able to rely on his durability and physical capabilities. And keep in mind, he would have gotten finished by Jake Matthews had he not literally gouged his fucking eyes out in that guillotine too. And I love Jake Matthews, and I always keep hoping he'll keep that turning that corner. And now he lost against Anthony Rocco Martin, another fucking guy who's clearly got some fucking skills. But again, like, Dos Santos is, to me, that next level of both athleticism, durability, skills.
Fuck! I want to remember that guy.
Like, this is a guy who is more than capable of just going, either just A, outstriking opponents who are just not on his level, B, getting into wars if he fucking wants to and just feels comfortable, or C, just like, if he decides, I'm just going to take you down and use my really fucking top-notch submission skills and just choke you. Like, he took listen, Curtis Blender, obviously not the greatest grappler, but he got fucking taken down and choked out in basically 2.5 minutes by Dos Santos. Like, yeah, I honestly don't think that Jiangling is going to... I think this is going to be kind of a lopsided fight, honestly.
I mean, Jiangling can crack, though, man, and he can wrestle like crazy. Like,
but
also, not yet,
that's a good point.
But, like, he couldn't out-wrestle Jake Matthews, and Jake Matthews is strong and a good grappler, but he's not a wrestler by trade, and I would say Dos Santos is probably a better wrestler than Jake Matthews.
Could be. It could be preparation. It could be defensive, like for that particular type of wrestler. Working on that in the training camp. I don't know though. It's tough to say.
For sure, I don't think that Lee is out of this fight by any means.
No.
I think that based on what I've seen from each one in recent times and recent fights, I feel like Lee is a bit his kind of like weird striking that comes from these odd angles. I honestly don't think that's going to work so well on Dos Santos, and it's somebody who's going to be able to match his durability, clearly, because fucking Dos Santos is durable as fuck. Man, I honestly see this being like a 30-27 easy. Potentially we see a round where Dos Santos drops him because, man, I honestly wouldn't be so shocked if Dos Santos finishes Lee. I wouldn't be that shocked. I'm not calling for finish. I think it would be just a lopsided decision, but I wouldn't be shocked if he finished Lee.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that happening, man. Yeah.
All right. Unless Alejandro has anything to say, I think that's it.
I just want to say that the guy's like is 32 years old, so it's not like he's like a prospect.
No,
anymore.
he's not. He's in the prime of his career, but
Yeah, like
it's well.
give this guy as
He'll
many
take a fucking
chances
money.
as he can.
All right.
Yeah. Give this guy as many chances as you can because luck is taken for him.
Yep. Well, thank you all so much for joining us, Vic. Shout out your shows if you got a chance to, because I know you got to go. But yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah, well, I'm on the Level Change podcast, of course. Taking yet another weird hiatus from Bodega Superstar podcast. Should be bringing up some new episodes soon, so
Nice.
be on the lookout
Hey,
for that. And of
if you wanna
course,
talk about healthcare. Bring me on.
we should do that.
I got a lot of shit to say about healthcare, specifically the.
Well, then I'm going to be hitting you up very soon on that front. And also, I'm on Twitter at Vic M. Rodriguez. Of course, all my writing and other shenanigans will be on Bloody Elbow. So, yeah, man, that's that.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for joining us. As always, it's a pleasure. Mixed Martial Arts Podcast. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on SoundCloud. Fuck iTunes and fuck Google.
No, fuck iTunes. Maybe we use it later. We like you,
But
iTunes.
until then, fuck iTunes.
Even though you're dead. No,
They fucked me so hard. They said I have to buy shit to get on. All right.